Hello, this is Professor Richard Lynch. In this video we're going to look at the topic of what is strategic management, and we're going to explore the topic using a business strategy case study from the 1990s. It's about IBM. At that time it was the market leader globally in computer manufacture. But it needed new growth that led to major strategic mistakes, which we'll explore in this video. Since that time, IBM has moved on. It's been transformed into one of the world's leading computer service companies. Strategic management is all about how business companies and public sector organisations add value to their assets. Usually this means taking profits in companies and delivering service in the public sector. Their strategies also support jobs and deliver to the community. Sometimes they succeed and sometimes they make strategic mistakes. So let's turn the clock back to IBM in the 1970s and 80s. The company was the leading manufacturer of large computers. They were sold exclusively to large commercial companies and governments. But IBM had a strategic problem. Its sales and profits were slowing down. It needed a new growth strategy, so it decided to design and launch a new small computer that would be sold into a new market: personal computers that could be used at home. In the first few years, the new IBM PC was reasonably successful. In strategic management, we say that IBM was adding value to its inputs. What we mean is that it was taking its raw materials and transforming them into profitable products, supporting jobs and delivering dividends to its shareholders. But then its PC strategy began to fail. To understand what went wrong, we need to look at the two main topics of strategic management. First, the strategic environment, the marketplace, within which IBM, and then shortly the strategic resources that IBM brought to this environment. Let's start with the environment. The market for home PCs was expanding rapidly, and there was plenty of competition. But there was no industry standard for personal computers. This meant that it was difficult for companies to manufacture on a large scale. And then along came IBM with a new home PC. Now let's look at IBM's strategic resources. The company had strong design reputation and strong branding and service resources. But the company decided to use outside resources from a couple of what were then small companies to actually provide parts of its new small computer. And this proved a strategic disaster. IBM was so confident of its reputation and its design and marketing skills that it simply bought in new software and some of its hardware from two outside companies, Microsoft and Intel. Crucially, it allowed Microsoft and Intel to also sell its products to competing home computing companies without taking a percentage of the profits. In addition, it did not stop Microsoft and Intel branding their products. This meant that their suppliers were able to take and build competitive advantages, Windows and Intel inside, that these two companies could sell to their competitors. In strategy, we say that IBM passed some of its added value to its competitors. This goes against economic theory in strategic management, which is all about developing and holding competitive advantage, not giving it to suppliers. But IBM's strategy had another consequence. It provided an industry standard. IBM's rival companies made their machines IBM compatible. Crucially, standardizing the design meant that larger volumes of components could be ordered. Thus, there were new economies of scale and scope available not only to IBM, but also to its competitors like Dell and Acer. In strategic management theory, having the lowest costs is supposed to deliver superior competitive advantage, for example in Porter's generic strategy model. But this only works if the company is able to protect its advantage through patents, for example. But IBM did not do this. The outcome of this strategic disaster was that IBM then made major strategic losses. The stakeholders in IBM, its shareholders, its senior managers and its employees needed a major strategic rethink. A change of culture in the company was required. Economic theory was not enough. And that's where a different theoretical framework is essential. Innovation theory and strategic change theory was then employed to transform the company over the next few years. We don't have space in this video to examine every area in depth, but let's look at the main elements. First, the company recruited a new chief executive, Mr. Lou Gerstner. He set about generating new areas of innovation, particularly with regard to computer services, where IBM was also strong. Second, he changed the organisational culture of the company, which had been overconfident and insular with regard to its market position. And third, he began cutting costs. His new management team also began to sell some of the subsidiary companies of IBM that were making limited profits. They were sold to some of the IBM managers who then left the company. In addition, IBM was reorganized from focusing on individual countries to product groups. The reason was that combining products together delivered more economies of scale. Then there was the big change in more computer services. Computers were becoming more complex and more capable of doing new types of operation. But these required skills that were not readily available to many computer users, large and small. So IBM moved both by acquisition and by internal development into computer services. And you can read more about all this on the Global Strategy website. So, what does this mean for strategic management? Well, the topic is about the general direction of organisations, not the detail of marketing or finance or production. It's about the strategic resources that the organisations possess and these can then be employed outside the organisation in its strategic environment. And the whole purpose of strategic management is to add value. If the organisation is not adding value, then why does it continue to exist? We've touched briefly on the three background theories in this case: economic, innovation, and human resource theories. These all contribute to the topic. But given such complexity, there is no formula for strategic success. And this is what makes strategic management different from many other subjects like mathematics or accounting or engineering, where there are often clear answers. Nevertheless, this does not stop strategists from attempting to define the topic. You'll see the definition here contains words like resources and environment. It also refers to another aspect: intended and emergent initiatives, which we explore in a separate video under the heading of Prescriptive and Emergent Strategies in the Computer Gaming Market Globally, and the company Take-Two. Finally, to explore the whole topic in more depth, you can read more about strategic management in our book. It has many examples of both good and bad strategies from both companies and public sector organisations all around the